first big event this year. So
give it up to him.
Pressure's on. Awesome. So thank you for coming. Those folks that are here in person, welcome. We have donuts for those that are here from Boyette Insurance. And how awesome is that? Josh made the coffee. And Peter Larson, where are you? We got to get some water bottles, buddy.
I'm right here, and I do need some.
I have got to buy some water. I know. We're not profit. I'm driving. You want to talk to the vending machine guy over here, Jay? I'm going to donation of a couple cases.
You should have told me. I would have had them with you.
So those of you at home, we welcome you, or at your offices. We are going to give away a $100 gift card, we had said. So everybody's got an entry to win. We got a $100 gas card to Wawa for the people that are attending in person. So welcome. Mr. Fixes is here in numbers. I think they went for having the most people all together. I think
We
that's
tried.
pretty good. Get your shirts on, and we appreciate it. So we're gonna get started because you don't want to hear all this stuff. I am going to be the moderator. I'm going to let each person introduce themselves real fast, tell you what you do, and the camera's right there, and Josh will move the camera around and capture you, and then we'll go from there. Ladies first.
Okay. I'm Sydney Smith. I am the employment manager with our nonprofit Real Life.
I'm Sarah Scarborough. I'm the director of Real Life. We're a nonprofit here close by in the city of Richmond. We have 12 recovery houses where we house folks and get them equipped and prepared to hopefully do something different in their life. And one of those factors when they reach a certain point in our program is to help them gain employment. So thanks for coming.
Good morning. My name is Travis with the Opus Network, and we provide career services for individuals in the community who may have a disability. We work with veterans. We work with students just getting into the job force. And we work with both job seekers and employers in a little bit of a staffing agency capacity. All our services are free, and we, like I said, contract with the state of Virginia.
Good morning, I'm John Guzak. I'm the co-founder of Kildare HR online hiring systems. And unlike this gentleman, our service is not free.
Very good. So if anybody online cannot hear anybody, just chat it in, and Josh will say, raise the voice. And if you have any questions, we're going to do a little different. We're going to ask a couple we're about every 10 minutes, we're going to stop and answer maybe one question for somebody here or else online. Okay? So instead of waiting to the end. So again, this was attract, satisfy, retain. That's what every company wants to do with their employees: attract, satisfy, retain. And then those employees want to attract, satisfy, retain the best clients possible, right? So we're going to just specifically talk about attract. How do we attract employees? So that's where the questions are going to be. So we can start at the left, the right, or anybody in between that wants to answer this question. What does attract mean to find applicants, and what determines a great response from the job market to get great applications? So bottom line is, how do we get good applications out there? And are people in existence right now that want to join companies? Who would like to take that?
I'm happy to take a start. I think this day and age that employers just have to be creative and maybe hire people that they hadn't thought about hiring in the past. We work with folks that are in recovery. Many of them are coming out of incarceration. And so that is obviously a population that many have not thought about hiring in the past, or maybe have been skeptical about hiring because of criminal backgrounds and things of that nature. We certainly understand that there's some businesses that just cannot hire certain folks with certain backgrounds, and we get that, we understand. But what we ask is give them a shot. Give them a shot for an interview. And what probably similar to what Travis will share is when you are recruiting, somebody in recovery or somebody with a criminal background from a program such as Real Life, they're coming with some, I don't want to say guarantees, but whatever the step under that is. And so they have gone through very comprehensive job programming, job preparation, readiness, even, onto the, you're not hired to be on a cell phone, you're not hired to smoke cigarettes. Here's the expectation. That expectation is what we expect in our program. And so their job is basically to be in our program which hopefully translates into the workforce. And so they come with that. We drug test our folks, something that some employers do, some employers don't, but which employer would not want to know that they're having, their employees have clean urine screens and such. And so, I think that would be kind of a perk, but also looking outside of just the normal box from what's happened in the past.
Anything you want to say?
I can talk specifically about hiring that we do for our organization. We do have competitors. There's other organizations that do what we do. What's really made a difference for us in attracting people is kind of taking note of what competitors are offering to their employees. And I'll say real quick, for us, the employees that we have working here are pretty much the whole company. We have no physical location. All our services are done out in the community. So our entire company is our employees. So it's, important for everyone, but it's everything for us. And, we took a look at what our competitors were offering their employees. A big thing that's made a big difference for us is on our ads, we advertise a good work-life balance. That's been an issue at, so that some other places, including some places I've worked at in the past. We also advertise what our pay is, which is pretty competitive. All of those things pay for themselves. In our case, they pay for themselves easily because the quality of candidates we get is, just so much better. And in the long run, that, even if you're looking at it from a money standpoint, there's cost savings in that because less micromanagement and less turnover.
So this is a question for John Guzak for sure, for Kildare HR, because you have a solution. How fast should people hear back that their resume was received? And what is the next stage to get that person in for an interview?
Well, they should hear back instantly. And the vetting process by the hiring manager is not the same for every company because people are busy doing lots of things. So if you as an applicant hit the system, if there is a system in place, maybe it's a paper resume, you have to understand that the people who are doing the evaluations are putting that into a stack and getting to it at some point in time. Your question is how fast should that be? It should be instant, but I think we've all been around the block here. We all know that you apply for a job and you wait. Maybe you never get it. Not to sound like a sales guy, but I guess that's what I'm here for today is to tell you about our system. And that is automation, whether it's our system or any system. If you have an automated way to distribute the job that you have just posted, instead of going from job board to job board to job board to job board, getting those emails in and then going to 3 or 4 different places to collect them, assemble them, and then decide when you're going to interview somebody, if you're going to interview somebody. That's an awful lot of work. Everything today, no matter what you do, whether it's operations or HR or anything, automation, right? The internet has changed the world. So with that, our system, when you press the button, goes out to 6 major job boards. The major job boards are Indeed, Monster, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, Google, Glassdoor. And then when they're out on those job boards, minor job boards scrape those jobs off the major boards to put on their boards to make them look larger. So your job goes further. So when you see companies that say, we put your job out there on 3,000 boards, yeah, but any system that you use most likely is going to have that same distribution of jobs. So how do you get people? I think that's what everybody's interested in, right? How do you get good people? You press that magic button, you distribute the jobs. You also can rely on text to apply. You've probably all seen that generally at fast food restaurants, text the word jobs to this number. How does that work? Well, someone texts jobs to that number and then instantly, they get a list back from that company, they click it and they apply to the job. That's what our system provides you. What else can you do? You can promote job, finding good people in your company from the people that work for you. It's that old birds of a feather thing, right? You've taken the time to hire the people you've got, you trust them and you like them. Most likely people that they know are of that same stature. So promote something called employee referral. And our system provides for that, because when you apply for a job using our system, it asks the question along the way, have you been referred by an employee of this company? If you click yes, type in the person's name, proceed with the application, submit it. And on the back end of our system, you can pull a report and you can see how effective your in-company recruiting is at the end of the year. So there's not just one thing that makes up the magic sauce. It's the distribution of the jobs. It's the communications with the applicant. Barry, you asked, how quickly should you hear back? Our system, of course, would send you an email, but our system also provides applicant texting without you having to use your cell phone. So from within the system, if I like you as an applicant, I'm going to click that button and text you. How fast are you going to?
You click your camera on?
Fact is, they say 7% of texts are open within 3 minutes, whether you know it or whether you're familiar with it or not. Now you could swipe it.
I didn't think you meant to do that. I didn't do that.
How many emails go open that quickly? It's just not the case, because we're all very busy. And you might have a premier applicant and you're emailing and emailing and emailing that person, but he or she may not check the email for a few days. Whereas with Keldair's system, click text, you're poking them in the ribs, and most likely you're going to attract that very, very good applicant. So I sounded just like a politician giving an answer this long. When Barry asked.
No, great answer. And he sums up the system. Again, we were trying to attract great applicants, because that's what it starts with. Waiting for that day, somebody walks out on you and we scramble, we say, oh, I gotta call the paper, I gotta get on all the job boards, I gotta do this, do that. I had somebody say, Barry, I get so many resumes that first 72 hours, then I just cut off the ad. Well, they don't necessarily give you the money back for that ad that you put on Indeed or whatever. His service will shop 365 days a year. So you're always looking for that one fish, that big, right? You go fishing, you're looking for the one you don't want to throw back. You want to keep it. And that's what's going to help your brick and mortar. With Real Life and with the Opus Network, how important is it for your clients to hear back that, hey, they got my resume? Is that important to them or not? Or do they like rejection or not? What do they like? What's their life like? Give somebody insight. What are the people that you represent, teach, and find jobs for? What is their day like? Day in and day out, looking for a job. What's it like?
Sure. Well, what do they like? They're human. So what do you like? We are instant gratification. We want to know now. I think that's, for any person that is on this planet, that's how we are. As far as, specifically what their day is like, most of our folks have been in situations that have led them to where they are, which is criminal convictions, battle addiction. 99.9% of people that we have always worked with and people that are incarcerated don't, as a little child, say, I'm going to be a drug addict and I'm going to go to jail. It's usually situational. It might be that middle-class family out in the suburbs that mom gets really sick and the child doesn't know how to cope and ends up smoking marijuana as a 9-year-old and then furthers on. Or it might be the kid in the projects who that's what they grew up around and that's all that they know. It doesn't matter the demographic or anything. Addiction doesn't discriminate, and well, we can say that incarceration does, but there's all types of people and colors that are incarcerated as well. And so I say all that to say, our folks are used to rejection. Our folks are used to people just not caring, turning a blind eye, generalizing what you see on the news and on the movies, and you're a big bad villain or whatever. That's not how they are. There are some people that need to be behind bars for the rest of their life. We can get that and probably all agree. But there's a lot of folks, if literally given an opportunity, they will just absolutely flourish with it. And what we find with employment, we have over 100 employment partners now, is our folks are some of the best employees out there. Because if somebody is willing to give them an opportunity, they're not going to squander it. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to squander it away. And they're going to work extremely hard and really rise to the top. And then you couple that with the training that I referenced and what we give them, that's taken, generally our folks are entry level, not all the time, but that's taken an entry level person and giving them skills of, you know, a manager, not saying you to hire them as a manager, but understanding the employability skills, leadership skills, communication. What if your boss makes you mad? How do you handle that? You know, how do you handle all those situations? They come in with that. Whereas, as you all know, most entry level employees don't have that type of thing. And so their day is programming, shoved down their throat very consistently, because the amount of time that we have with them in the program to just program is short in comparison to how long that they've been doing what they were doing before, but then also what is the rest of their life like. So we just got to kind of overdose them with programmatic type of things to ensure they're prepared.
Travis, some of your folks.
I agree with everything that's been said. I'll say briefly just a different point of view from the job seeker's perspective, because we work with a lot of job seekers. Sometimes we work with folks, and this can apply for any job seeker. Sometimes we work with folks that do want the instant gratification, and sometimes do actually need to display more patience. You know, I mean, it's definitely important to reply to applicants soon if you want to get good applicants, but to some degree, the applicants that are willing to go through the process can in some cases be the best candidate as well. And we do work with a lot of folks that we coach to, you know, maybe they submit 10 applications and they haven't heard anything. Submit 10 more, submit 100 more. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. You still got to put the work in, and employers aren't always going to be able to respond immediately. It's just reality. So that's, I would say there could be some advantage to those candidates that are willing to stick it out.
And a good point with the automation with Kildare, again, if you go with that service, they do get responded. They are going to be different than every other employer out there. If you're hiring Kildare to be your partner, it's an automated tool. The letters go out like that. They apply, it goes right out. So we are responding with that kind of a system. BBB as an employer, we use the system now since probably March. And again, everybody that applies, I mean, I got probably 400 or 500 resumes out there in the field. I read them all, I go through, and we'll get into that some other time. You get a demo with John, is at the point of attracting right now. That goes into hiring. But I will tell you, if I have 400 or 500 resumes sitting out there for 5 jobs for the BBB and interns, I have 4 interns here that have come through the intern program online through Kildare. It works. So we'll take a quick break. Is there any questions online, Josh?
No questions over here for
Okay.
now.
Anybody have a question here about a track?
I would just like to
Yeah,
say
go ahead.
something, tag on to what you just said. The system that we have, every applicant that applies online to any job at any time goes into something called a talent pool. So if you use the system for 2 months or 2 years or 2 decades, that pool just continues to grow. What does that pool do for you? You can go, as we say in the biz, fishing at your own pond. So you have a lot of applicants in this database, and now it's time to hire because someone just won the lottery and they walked out on you, right? So you have to work pretty quickly. Well, you post the job, of course, but then go back to your talent pool and put in the search terms that you're looking for, the skill set that you're looking for, and hit enter. And when you do, the system is going to bring up those people who've got those skills and that experience. And then you can go into the job, click the button, and invite them to apply to this new job. So it's a way to use your own database as a value add for your company, instead of just putting resumes in a drawer, and then when it's time to hire, you kind of ignore that, or it's too much work to sort through them. The system, again, automates that functionality.
Questions? All right, no questions. So this is for real life and or the Opus Network or both. What are people looking for right now in the job market? When you talk to the folks looking for jobs, what do they desire? They want to be the president? Do they want to make $80,000? Do they want a free car? Do they want 8 weeks vacation? What are they looking for in both of your client base?
I'll start.
Yeah.
So with the clients that we work with and that I work with on a day-to-day basis, they're just looking for a job. They want a job just to get in, show what they can do, and hopefully be able to work their way up in a company. They want to show their skills that they have, that it might not necessarily be, they might not have the education requirements, they might only have a GED. So they might not have that associate's degree that's required or that bachelor's degree for certain positions, but they want to showcase their skills at an entry-level job to hopefully work their way up. They don't want to be the president of the company. Maybe one day. We were talking about goals the other day, and they want to be able to feel like they are worth something to a company. They want to show that they can provide skills for the company that the company is looking for. And they don't actually know what they want to make in terms of wages per hour. We have conversations with multiple people like, you're worth more than $7.25 an hour. We have to showcase your skills and, ask for that competitive wage and not be afraid to do so, because you are worth more than what you think you are right now. And they're not looking for $60,000 a year. They're looking for, just something that makes them feel a sense of worth, really. And they're looking for anything and everything in any industry, whether it be construction to plumbing to, telemarketing to anything like that. They're looking to see where they can find their fit. And some company that will give them the chance and the time of day.
Just part-time employment work for your clients?
Yep. So typically we require that our clients have at least a full-time job, because they will be required to pay a program fee for our program. So those that can work full-time should be working full-time. But we do have individuals that might have, something else going on, that part-time employment is better for them in those instances, but mainly full-time. Yeah.
Travis?
So I think there's a narrative out there right now that a lot of people just don't want to work. And I hear it a lot from employers. And I mean, I'm here to say it's true to some degree for some folks, for sure. I can't really speak to those folks because, to be honest, those aren't the folks we get.
Yeah.
Anyone that comes to us, in a lot of cases, actually doesn't have to work. A lot of the folks that we get might get disability benefits. A lot of those folks want to get off of those benefits. There are a lot of people out there that don't need to work, but want to work because, I mean, money is important. That's always going to be part of the reason for going to work. But there's a bigger reason, and it's to contribute something, to have something to do, to have meaning in your life. Those are the kinds of folks we get.
All right, I'd like to comment on that. Pre-pandemic, I think people looked for good pay, good benefits.
A little bit louder. Sorry.
I'm
Just a
sorry.
little bit louder. You're good. No worries.
Pre-pandemic, people looked for good pay and good benefits. That's just life. Post-pandemic, we can add an ingredient to that mix: company culture. So that's important. People are being more picky about the company in which they're about to spend 8 or 10 hours a day, whatever they work. But I don't know if you're all aware of this, but pay equity is now an issue. And I'm not sure if you're all aware of this, but Indeed has started something. If you post a job and you don't have pay on there, Indeed puts it on there. They put down an algorithmic derivative that says this job should be paying this salary range. You may not even be willing to do that, and you'll be surprised when you go to receive that job application. So things to think about today that pre-pandemic just weren't even part of the discussion. Benefits, yes, everyone wants decent benefits. That's an assumption. But now company culture has become a very much desirable factor in your work life. I mean, think about it. You're actually getting married when you get a job, right? You're spending most of your time with your employer, and your family is back there wherever. So I just wanted to say that as a company, start thinking about this company culture thing. There's even websites out there that will take an employee's input about your company and put it online so that your culture, so to speak, is transparent. So there's kind of work to do as an employer to become attractive. It used to be that the employee or the job seeker had to do the work to become attractive. Now it's a handshake. It's both sides of the table coming to a good conclusion. Again, I'm sounding like a salesman, but that's exactly what the system does. It allows you to put vetting questions up front, and we've designed something called a two-part or an iterative application. So you ask some simple yes, no, or multiple choice questions. Our system scores them. And when those applicants come in, they have scores. When you look at the high scores and you look at their resumes, see everything that they provided, if you like, you press part 2, it sends a virtual interview out, and that person then has deeper level questions. Could be upload document, could be multiple choice, could be yes, no, could be write a paragraph or 2. This gives you a whole lot more information about the skill set and the communication skills of that individual. What's just happened? You still haven't talked to the person, but you've got all this great information on which to make a decision and go forward. So my short story is companies have to take a step forward to become attractive, as does the applicant during that process. And our system just helps bring that together.
You're allowed to make a question. Go ahead.
Because I recently moved from Lynchburg to the Richmond area, and I applied for well over 50 jobs. And I mean, I have a graduate and I have a graduate degree. And what made it hard was I felt that I was a robot because I had to figure out how to answer the questions. And there was a lot of times I never heard back. So how do we take that robotic piece out of it? And so we can know that we're like interviewing people.
Because I've been using the system for 15 years, just take that out. All I use Kildare for is an info gathering point, a dashboard.
Okay.
I call just about everybody at some point in time. Keep in mind, you're a reflection. These are all consumers. When I dealt with John in the beginning, we were a car dealership. So no matter who was applying, they drove a car. So why, or they serviced the car. Why would I want to alienate anyone? Again, it's going to be bad enough when I didn't get them an interview because they didn't answer the right or they didn't fit the criteria, or they came in and they were not what I was looking for, or I got that great big fish that I met and I forgot about everybody else. They're gonna be not liking me too much over time, right? But at least I did everything right, and then I sent out a note saying we hired someone else. Thank you for applying. I still have the resumes in the system. So it's a good question. So how it has become very robotic because the most important part of any company, I just said this inside to our staff, you're all accredited businesses. We are offering an accredited business to do business with you at a reduction of 15%. That 15%, hopefully in theory, pays your $550 or your $800 or whatever your size of your company is, your fee to us. So we're trying to get back in the value proposition, a tool that most people don't know about. It is not as automated, AI driven as other systems, because I've been in that job role at 60. Yeah, good luck. You know, I mean, it's true. If you're getting there, but 12 more years, you're about 45 now, so you keep going, buddy. And then I'll look around. The next question is going to go. That's a great question, but it's up to the company to make it live, human being. And you know, when you get these check the box and we don't have that anymore in Virginia, but I argued in 2014, get rid of check the box. And that was if they had backgrounds. I don't want to know as an employer, because if I hire that person and they do something to get my insurance company going to say, you knew, they're going to walk on me possibly. So I used to tell the politicians, you got to put a shield up for us. If we hire somebody, give them a chance, right? And you hire some of the greatest employees, we got to be protected because we're for profit at the time, right? So working remotely, anybody heard that one yet? You guys, I mean, your clients, and John and Kildare, how do you write the questions? Can you guys work Mr. Fix-It remotely?
No.
It's kind of tough to build your house or your home improvement or a new bathroom. Would it work? At Cabo,
Some
a
can.
little bit, but
Some can.
you gotta come in and look at the copier and sales, and you gotta look at their needs. Cardinal vending, how would that work? Filling up the potato machine?
Not at all.
Man.
House would be full.
The technology hasn't been invented yet to make that possible, so.
So what is the number one selling in a vending machine, by the way? We all wanna know.
Drink or snack?
What is it?
Drink or snack, which one?
Snacks.
Snacks, I'd say Lay's potato chips.
You all wanted to know that, right? So now you know, you're ready
Now
for
you know.
Jeopardy. The garden business, can you work remotely?
It's hard to weed that way.
Right. Insurance business, a little bit of both.
Yep.
You still get either walk-in clients, sometimes, maybe not. They have dwindled way down. Just like these seminars and webinars, we'd love to have 80 people here. We have more people online than in person. So anyway, remotely, talk to us about that. And how do we get your clients to not want to work remote, or will they come to, if I'm getting applicants and everybody wants to work remote, I had a TV station told me they hired 3 people. All 3 people, high degrees, high money, everything. All 3 people, when they were hired, said, I'm not taking a job unless I can work remotely. Lost 3 applicants, they just said, well, hit the road, you know? And so that's reality right now. Some folks, do you guys have good clients that will come into work every day with a great attitude and smile? Can you describe 1 or 2 of your applicants, your clients, and Travis, you also? Describe what your people are like.
Well, I would say, I'll let you describe, but what I will say is, I didn't know that I love working remote until I had an opportunity to work remote. Our folks have not had the opportunity to work remote, so you've got that. You know, they're just coming out of whatever was going on before, and so they are eager. They want to get to work. They want to meet people. They want to play or, you know, be a team worker and all of that. And maybe if they had the opportunity to work remote in the future, they would want that, but they don't know that. So that is kind of a, you know, sideline perk there, but I'll let you take the other part of the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, so our clients in general, when they come to us, they have a 2-week stabilization period, just to give you a little background. So they're doing programming and in the house for like 2 weeks. They don't want to be in the house anymore. They want to get out. They want to go to work. I'm working with several individuals right now who, you know, will talk to me on a day-to-day basis, and they're just like, I just want to show somebody I can do everything. And I'm like, well, you don't have to be able to know how to do everything, but show them what you can do. And they're just, I mean, they are ready and willing. And I had a gentleman actually call me, an employer call me yesterday. And he spoke about one of our clients that had applied to his job. And he was like, you know, I was very impressed that this gentleman, you know, was open and honest about everything. He told me that he was in this program. He told me, you know, what I would expect to see from his background check. He told me that he is willing to be on site whenever I need him, and, you know, to work, you know, X hours, because he wants to work. He wants to show them that he can do it. And our clients, we tell them, or I specifically tell them as well as Sarah, be honest, be open, tell them what you can and can't do. And we go over with them like, hey, what do you like to do? And they have to think about that for a long time. But when we go over what do you not like to do, they're like, oh, about this, you know, they're like, oh, I don't want to, you know, maybe vacuum or anything like that, but they want to do something else. So we determine those skills, and we fine point those skills and figure it out what it is that they really want to do. And then that's what we go for. And, you know, they're used to rejection, but I love it when clients call me, talk to me in person. They're like, I got an interview. All right, you ready to go? And like, we prepare them for it, and they'll come back and they'll be like, Miss Sydney, it was great. It was great. I talked to Barry and he was so nice. And, you know, I told him everything that you told me to tell him. And I was open and honest and willing to share everything and anything that I needed to. And I think it went really well. So even if I don't get the job, I'm happy that I went. And that's what they tell me. Even if they don't get the job, they're happy for the opportunity to be able to discuss their background, to discuss those skills that they have, rather than being able to check a box saying they have a felony background and not getting a call back. So that's what they're excited about. And they're, like Sarah said, they don't have the opportunity to work remote. They have a few females that do work remote, but most of the time they just want to get out and go.
Yeah, I mentioned previously in another question that the folks that we serve, they're looking for more than money in a job. It's about finding meaning. It's about, finding community, which, that is to say, most of our folks do want to work in person. They are tired of being at home. They want to go out. They want to interact with others. I mean, and having that, does add a lot to your work experience that you're not necessarily going to get from home. Just the culture, the community. Yeah. So another thing I'll say though is, having worked with a lot of different companies, I have seen lately a lot of companies adopting kind of a hybrid model. And to me, it does seem like a great way of attracting people. Because one thing, I'll speak for our company. It would be horribly inefficient for us to report to an office. We are either out working in the field or sometimes we'll have work at home days. But it would be inefficient for us to work from an office because of all the extra travel time. And I know for a lot of folks these days, I think that's probably part of the attraction to working from home is you're already so busy during the week with work. You add commute time to that. You add, the benefits of being flexible if you can work from home and fit other things into your life. I've seen it used as a good way of attracting people for companies that are having trouble bringing people in. And you can still have the culture, you can still have the work in person, but I've seen a lot of companies having, folks come in maybe a few days a week, but work from home on Fridays or work from home a couple days a week. So, I do think there's a hybrid model that could offer both benefits.
What are folks, Travis, folks with physical disabilities, what do they offer employers? What kind of disabilities are we talking about with the Opus Network that you have clients? And what are their capabilities? What can they do? Can they be delivery folks? Can they answer phones? Can they do accounting work, call centers? What can they do?
Yeah, the folks that we work with, in terms of jobs they've done, it's all over the map. All the way from entry level, retail, food service, janitorial, up to we have folks who have degrees. We have someone who's a teacher at a nonprofit right now. We have had folks that have worked in sales. We actually have one client who became a chemist. I'd have to explain that more, but I won't get into it. But yeah, we've had folks that have ended up making six figures, so it's all over the map. From what I've seen with employers, the barrier to bringing someone in with a disability is not discrimination. In a lot of cases, it's we like this person, but this disability we're just not sure how to handle it. We're not sure how to accommodate it. We're not sure what questions we can ask. And so that's kind of where we come in, because when we work with an employer, really when we're working with our job seekers, in a lot of cases, the disability is irrelevant, because we're going to help the job seeker figure out a job that's going to be a great fit for them, where the disability is going to be irrelevant. If someone has a physical disability, that they can do desk work would be a simple example. But we function as we're able to help employers essentially cover any accommodations that might be necessary, which again, in the majority of cases, isn't actually required. If you do your job up front and you find them a position that is a good fit for them. But in cases where there is an accommodation required, here's an example. I have a vision impaired person who is a dishwasher. He has excellent mobility skills. He can get all around the kitchen. He can restock things. The only thing he can't do is mop the floor. Mopping the floor is about 5% of the job. The employer, because they were happy enough with everything else he was doing, was happy to just shift that responsibility around to someone else. That's the kind of thing we're usually talking about in terms of accommodations. And I guess one more thing in a broader sense is, there used to be a time and age where women were not a big part of the workforce. And from an employer's point of view, that's pretty much 50% of the available talent is not in the workforce. For people with disabilities, that's another, modern example of a big portion of the population that has talents and has something to contribute, but is not a part of the workforce, in large part just because employers in a lot of cases aren't equipped to deal with it. And so again, the service we offer is we will take care of that for the employer.
Any questions online there, Josh, or anybody here?
Nothing yet.
Okay, good. Yes, answer other questions. We're gonna go to real life for the same kind of question. So what are your folks out of recovery? And they did time. They might not have a driver's license. What do we have to be aware of? So if one of these employers, the insurance company says, yes, we can hire somebody with a background, but they might have to go to parole, and that one day they get their code, right? That's last minute. What do they have to be aware of? And then I'll talk about my personal experience in the background. But just let them know in case they want to talk to me, folks, what do they have to be aware of?
Probably the biggest hurdle is the transportation, as you referenced. Most of our folks, when they begin looking for employment, don't have a driver's license. And so all of our houses are in the city, they're all on the bus line. So they could get to you if you're in the city, but if you're off the bus line or require probably driving around, that would not be a good fit. However, some of our folks do have license, so it's not a 100% of the thing. And some of our folks, they may start somewhere entry level, but 6 months down the road are looking for greater opportunities. And at that point, they may have a driver's license. Right now, we have a CDL program that we're working with Iron Sheepdog with. And so clearly CDLs are not something that folks can go for immediately because they 9 times out of 10 don't have a driver's license. And so when they get to a certain point near graduation in our program, we are willing to invest the money and the time into that training, because CDL costs money, obviously. And by that point, they would have a driver's license and CDL permit. And so we could help them kind of reach that next level of their career. I will caveat that because I don't want you to think that our folks are going to be jumping around. It is something that does happen, obviously, but we really want folks to go into jobs that they can grow with and have not plateau. And so, a large company like one that you all have, usually there's opportunities for growth, opportunities for further education or vocation or apprenticeship or, something along that range. And so most of the time that growth would come within the company that they're in. Maybe they start with Mr. Fix-It, they don't have a driver's license, and so they're very limited to this. They get their license and now they have their own truck. Something like that is kind of what we see. We've got a couple of electricians right now that are working for electrical companies. One of our guys, he has his own truck now making $25 an hour and has a company gas card. And he has never experienced something. He is just on cloud 15 about it. And so, so the transportation is a big one. Beyond that, there's not too many obstacles as long as, if you're hiring a plumber, they need to have the skills necessary for that unless it's entry level where you train. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot of obstacles.
So the attract part, if you have Kildare and not a sales pitch, if you have a board like that and you write the job description the right way, what you're looking for, you ask questions to weed out what you cannot accept. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you from the real life program, again, I've been an employer of folks out of the program, the HARP program in Chesterfield. There are great people out there. So there's no reason to say we can't find people to work. Does it fit every niche? No, it does not. But I wasn't on the bus line. They got to Cloverleaf Mall. We had to pick them up or they walked. They were so appreciative. They walked. They walk a lot further than Cloverleaf to Haley, but I was doing it. Hired a number of them. Great fans for your company. So if you want raving fans to work with you, consider some of these folks. They're just people. But I hate to say it this way because we're trying to decide how do we say it, gene pool? I mean, what do we say to these people? But we're all looking for people. We all need to have a great logical system in place. We got to have HR people that are willing to try something a little bit different. The owners, again, being accredited with us, all of your owners decided they want to be accredited. They applied to be accredited with us. So you already decided you're one of 500,000 companies in the country that are different than everybody else, that stand apart, right? You deal with respect, trust, all the things on our banners. So look at these peoples. I'd like you all to stay that are here and do a tour of our office if you've never been here. Peter from Cabo will be doing the tour, so he knows every nook and cranny of our business. And he'll show you our beautiful copiers we have here. And we appreciate being accredited. We're gonna ask everybody to just sum it up with one more way out, but I want you to know the real life program is somebody, and how many clients do you have available right now?
So can I expand on that just a little bit? I'll try to make it short. Okay, so right now we have 120 in our houses. Talking to Barry, obviously the Better Business Bureau is all over Virginia. You all are probably local, but you know, there might be folks online that are from Virginia. And I anticipate that you all would probably need way more than we have ready to employ. Because although we have 120 right now, probably 80 of them are already working. So that limits our availability. And so as such, the Virginia Association of Recovery Residences, or VAR for short, is Virginia's credentialing body for recovery residences per the state under the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services, a mouthful. And so most recovery residences throughout Virginia do not have an extreme comprehensive employment program, employment preparation like we do. And so I think that's a perk of real life is, you know, the type of employee that you're going to most likely get due to the training that we, primarily Sydney, has provided them. And so figuring out with Barry, how can we increase this pool of maybe 40 people that we have to way more than that also across the state. And so in talking with VAR, they were so excited that on July 1, they are going to fund a VAR position that will be housed under Real Life to provide employment type of services and readiness for anybody in a VAR certified residence in Virginia. So we will be using that. We will use our model. We have these flyers. They have our fancy stats on there that we're proud of. And so that way, if you're looking for somebody, whether it's Charlottesville or Southwest Virginia, transportation is a bigger issue there, but we likely would have somebody there and we would be training them. A lot of it would be virtual, obviously, but they would have that training. And so that's kind of an additional piece there.
We're increasing the numbers. And again, just with Kildare alone, our system, you can find that one perfect person, not in this program, but just somebody out there. If you are always looking. One bad day at a job, you go home, you start looking. That's how it happens, right? No mystery. How many people in your company are looking for another job right now? Car business, every single day. John saw my resume. I ran jobs constantly. And I do A, B, C, D testing, not just A, B. I write different apps to see who I attract. I try to get out there and find some people, but when you take a tour of those folks that are here, or if you come in, if you're accredited business, come in and see us, I will let you know our receptionist got the greatest smile in the world. Her name is Marquana. When you go out, please say hello to her, let her know you're there. She is visually impaired, so she will not know you're there, except for she will hear you, smell you, know your cologne, perfume, and has got a great greeting walking in the store and walking out. My wife came here yesterday for the first time. Not because she lives locally, doesn't want to see me. She lives in Pittsburgh, so it's not that way. But she came down and she didn't realize it. She thought the lady was on the phone because she wears a headset. She wasn't on the phone. And I said, I brought Mary in the back. I said, Marquana, wanted to say hello. She thought you were on the phone because you were wearing a headset, and she appreciated that. So please say hello to her, and on the way out, make sure, because she tracks it in her mind. She sees more than any of us see. I can just tell you that. And here's every conversation, good and bad, 3 yards down or 3 cubicles down, right? So be careful. So we're going to finish it up. Again, we do finish at 10 o'clock. We'll email this out. You all, folks, can stay and talk as much as you want, as your time allows. But anything you want to sum up, you got 7, 8 minutes to go down the line. Then we cut you off at 10.
Start?
I would just like to say that the first responsibility of every single employee of your company should be recruiting. If you think it's just HR, you're making a mistake. Everyone that works for you has a job list of responsibilities. The first one should be recruiting. They should be your voice. They are certainly your client-facing roles. Mr. Fixit is an example. You're out there. If they're talking good about the company, if they're promoting all the time, that just resonates and it does good for your business. It does good to attract people. And I will close by saying the magic sauce, whether you use a system or whether you're using paper in a drawer, the magic sauce to recruiting is speed. How fast are you going to react to an applicant? Because the minute you blink and go get a cup of coffee, that applicant's gone. So, one closing. Background checks, you talked about it. Our system also automatically can initiate and provide the entire background check. We've got full integrations with background check companies. So, thank you.
Yeah, I would just say that we are a service for employers just as much as we are for job seekers. And we don't act as a charity. Our folks are not charity cases. They have something to offer, but ultimately our bottom line is for everyone in the relationship to be happy. The employers get a great candidate, the job seeker gets a great job. If that's ever not the case, you know, we act, like I said, kind of like a staffing agency. You know, sometimes just like with anyone, folks don't work out. Our goal again is to get folks set up with a good long-term position that's great for everyone. And any accommodations that are needed, we cover for the most part, including, you know, sometimes there's, you know, things that might need to be purchased for a nominal price. We cover that ourselves. So, you know, any employer that wants to consider someone with a disability, we are there to support with any of the aspects of that the employer might not be as familiar with.
I'll just end with two quick things. Number one, with the Kildare system, we have developed, I don't believe it's live yet, but basically a portal that our folks going through the program, whether it's us or somebody from another residence, that they would go to apply. So there would be a tickler in there that would basically signify to you, this is somebody that's been through the real life training. And so, you know, hopefully you could pull that up if you were interested, something like that, but there will be a signifier in the application. One other thing, and you kind of mentioned it with the robot example and such, Sydney has a very close relationship with all of our employee partners. That is very important because a lot of issues, as you will probably see in the workplace, they're not issues that deserve somebody to be fired, but it's an issue that could easily be addressed, but it's not necessarily your job to address it, nor do you have time. And so often it's something of, well, probation calls once a month on Monday for urine screenings, and that's when we have our mandatory staff meeting. This is just not going to work. Well, call Sydney, let her know she could call probation and see if that could be changed, right? So there are very specific and certain things that we could easily take care of that is probably outside of your wheelhouse. So she would become your new best friend, you know, if you were interested, and we're happy to stick around and chat as well.
She kind of stole my
I'm
thunder,
sorry.
but that's okay. But yeah, so I like to tell employers, and I just spoke to one yesterday, that I want to create a partnership however you would like the partnership to be, whether it's formal or as informal as possible. If it's, you know, hey, I have 3 positions and you're sending me an email, and I'll be like, okay, great. I have 3 candidates. They've been vetted by me and their case manager. Let's get the process going. Or if it needs to be more formal, such as you need to go through the application, you need to put that real life as a referral source, we'll pull for an interview, this, that, and that, that's fine too. We like to also accompany to your needs as well, for you to consider our people to hire. And not to, you'll see this paper, I'll give it to you, but not to like throw some stats out there. But we understand that employers want people to stay and you want retention. And our clients currently, with everywhere that they're employed, we have about an 83% retention rate for all of our clients currently. and about a 97% success rate for those who were eligible to receive employment have been placed in employment. So, you know, we can't guarantee everybody, unfortunately, but those that we do guarantee, we have seen growth and potential, and we hope that you also see that as well if you decide to work with us.
That's awesome. You guys did a great job, and thank you.
Thank you.
And I will say the last thing John brought up, Steve McCall, who some of you might remember, maybe not, he ran Cox Radio for a decade or two in town, and he left probably in the early 2000s, but he came in and did a training meeting, and it was right when we started with John's company, and the topic was recruiting. Each and every day, companies recruiting, period, attracting. And then the buzzword became politically correct, right? There's always buzzwords, attract, satisfy, retain. So consultants are out there saying attract, satisfy, retain. Stuff we're doing here, no charge, just added benefit. We're talking about it, but go back to your place of business and talk about that. Attract, satisfy, retain, and every employee's job. If they can refer your company to a friend and family or a stranger, you really think they're doing a good job for you, really. Well, Barry, we can't go shorthand. I'll go down to 1 or 2 employees if I ever had to. The car dealership, I couldn't change oil, couldn't flip a tire, couldn't do anything. But I never put myself in a position to work with bad people. Bad people can go find bad companies. Great companies find great employees. And people can be converted. They should be proud. They should be making now with social media. They should talk about job postings. Like John just told us, Kildare, he just told my employees, we can make referrals into a system. I could start a little program, pay out a little bit for a application that might change our world. So again, thank you for everything. And we're gonna let Sydney pick everybody got a red ticket?
Oh,
All
a
right.
lot of people mad, Sydney.
Our staff and our panel do not have one, but everybody else has one. And those of you at home don't have a ticket because you didn't come up here. We appreciate you being here. There's $100 gas card for somebody.
686-556.
Oh.
Who is it? No. $100. You need to speak to the attorney. $100 a Wawa gift card. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, goodbye.
Jason,
Don't
thank you,
mind.
Josh. You can now go fill up that.
Let me
truck
get
with
the,
gas.
let me get
Maybe
the
like
panel
a
to say their
quarter of a
name and
tank,
where they're from
probably,
one more time.
Yeah, one more set. Sorry. Your name and.
No, you guys are fine. Just the name and where you guys are from one more time. Just for everyone that's watching. And then when we're done, I'm just gonna grab your contact information. So when this goes out email, I'll just put it in. So,
Perfect.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Sydney Smith, employment manager with Real Life.
That's
Same
the
other title.
Sarah Scarborough, Director of Real Life.
Travis Rolfs, Director of the Office Network.
John Uzak, Kildare HR co-founder.
all right. We're good.
Well, thank you all so
Thank you
much.
for the donut.